Where's my wine?
Right, the official field chair cone. Hey, meeting.
I want wine.
We'd like to start with our
This crowd's kind of small. I think everyone went to a jury show.
You're breathtaking.
chug the bottle.
Yes! You have to tighten it. I'll laugh that
Who needs tables? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Uncle Kage. I really don't know why, but I've been getting up on stage and enjoying alcoholic beverages in moderation, for the most part, for very nearly 25 years now. And pretty much all I do is get up here and drink and talk. So if you're expecting anything else, I'm sorry to disappoint you. They call this Uncle Kage Story Hour, so that's what you're gonna get. I'm joined up here on stage by the incomparable Fox Amore. And by one of the most amazingly powerful, broad-shouldered, muscular fellows in all of American Sign Language business. This is Vic Lee, ladies and gentlemen. He'll be joined by his compatriot shortly. She's gone to the bar to make sure I have an extra bottle. Hey, what? Oh,
Hey, Audie, I'm going to turn this off and on real quick.
this fixes all the electronic objects.
Fine. 3, 2, 1. It's going to take a few moments here. It's kind of advanced.
I'll keep you
It's got a
busy.
whole loading screen. It's got a...
Oh, let me see. Oh, it's in German. Laden. Laden. Lots of more, ladies.
It actually fixed it.
Incidentally, those of you who don't know, this has been a somewhat tumultuous year for me in terms of my employment. I'm a scientist. I don't just wear this for fun. This is what I wear to work. Well, not this exact one. But I am a chemist. I work in the Research Triangle area of North Carolina. I'm in the pharmaceutical industry. I have a doctorate in chemistry from Dartmouth, 1991. Well, a lot of people went to Dartmouth, didn't they? Just before I left, I have taken new employment at a wonderful company I just started in February. And I'm still settling in. On Monday, I was standing in the door of my office. One of the departmental directors has an office 2 doors down from me, and he was wandering about too. And I happened to mention to somebody, I'm going to Pittsburgh. And the departmental director said, oh, really? I'm going to Pittsburgh too. I said, oh, that's nice. When are you going to be there? He said, Thursday through Sunday. I said, really? Pray tell, what is it you plan to do in Pittsburgh? He said, oh, visiting family. Dan? Wouldn't that be fun? But prior to landing this wonderful job, I had a difficult situation. I had found employment at a contract laboratory in the city of Wilmington, North Carolina. which is located 2 hours south from my home in Raleigh. That made for an interesting commute. So I actually had to get a little cheap and sleazy apartment down there for a couple of nights a week, spend 1 or 2 days up in the office in Raleigh. It was not an ideal circumstance, particularly because the company is, I guess, not progressive is the best word for it. Fascist, I guess, is another word for it. Ooh, you don't like that? Let me tell you a story.
That's why we're here.
We had this little party called Hurricane Florence. It came through last year, and it was not very long after I had actually been given an offer by the company to. I was working as a contractor, you see, and they wanted me now to come on full time, and I was reluctant. A very, very nice fellow, a great guy named Vernon. He was in charge of the department they wanted me for, and he was lobbying very, very, very hard to get me to join. He was almost pleading on bended knee. And I was considering it when Hurricane Florence came through. The hurricane was making landfall on Thursday morning. On Tuesday, a site-wide email came out to all staff in Wilmington. The governor has requested the city of Wilmington be evacuated. We are shutting the site down at noon on Tuesday for your safety. All work is to cease, all equipment is to be turned off, everything is to be powered down, and you are to get out of town. You have the option of using leave without pay or vacation time. Is there a rating for this show?
No.
Oh, I'm the chairman. Fuck these guys, that's what I said. So this made poor Vernon's job very difficult because I resisted all his advances. They offered me the moon and the stars. They offered me a wonderful salary. But here's the thing, what good is a big butt ton of money if you're miserable? But I didn't have any other options. So very reluctantly, I accepted the job in Wilmington in that giant, huge 2-hour commute in the cheap and sleazy apartment and all that. 4 weeks later, an old friend of mine up in Raleigh, very close to my home, called up and said, "Are you still looking for a job?" And I said, "Well, now that you mention it, where the hell were you a month ago, asshole?" He said, "Well, I got something for you." I said, "Okay, yeah, but I just took a job down in Wilmington a month ago. You're asking me to be that guy, the guy that comes, joins the company, then a month later bails?" And he said, "Well, yeah." I said, "Look, you have known me for the better part of 10 years, and you honestly think that that is something I would do as a professional?" He said, "Well, maybe not as a professional, but you actually are very much a dick."
Yes!
Yeah, I couldn't. But what am I going to tell Vernon? He had worked so hard, he had practically bled to get me to accept that job. And now I'm going to go to the poor man and tell him, "I'm bailing out on you?"
Yes!
That was very difficult for me. I need some proper sad music. I was practicing in front of a mirror at home. Hey, Vernon, no. Say, Vernon, I really, no. Hey, Vernon, oh God, no. It was the Monday after Thanksgiving, and I was facing the decision date for the job up north. And I was sitting in the morning meeting with my head in my hands thinking, okay, I'm gonna have to find out a way to tell him. and just deal with his reaction. Is he going to cry? Is he going to be mad? I'm just going to have to do it. And Vernon came in and said, I just quit. I'm leaving the end of the week. So that became the official story. Oh man, I came here to work for Vernon. Now that he's leaving, don't tell anybody. Don't put this on YouTube.
Do it!
Although, okay, the company maybe was not as bad as I said. But you ever heard of a thing called Glassdoor.com?
Yes.
It's fun to look at the reviews this company had on Glassdoor.com. At the time I was ready to join the company, they had 67 reviews, 63 of which were 1 star. The rest of which were 5-star and probably came from the HR department. My 2 favorite reviews, the featured review that you very first go to, was very short. All it said was, don't. Really, just don't. And I read down a little further, and one of them said, have you ever been to North Korea? So I told the company up north, yeah, I'll come and I'll join you. But it's going to have to wait till February because I am not going to just bail on this company without giving them the opportunity to replace me. Because how can you replace me? And I told the company, I'm going to give you till February. This is the end of November. I'm going to give you guys till February. I will do everything in my power to get you somebody to replace me. The company advertised the position at 2 o'clock in the afternoon of my last day. What was I said before? Oh yeah, fuck those guys. By the way, I do apologize. If anybody here has children in the audience, out. If anybody here has children in the audience and they're laughing, not my fault. Okay? I'm looking at you, Boozy. That particular November was particularly eventful because not only was all this happening, but I finally returned to my nice little condo up north in Raleigh, North Carolina, as opposed to the deep south of Wilmington. It was starting to get a little bit cold, and it was right about that time, as I was still preparing to leave Wilmington, one particular day, I noticed it was getting a little bit chilly in the place. And I also noticed that the hot water was not hot. When you're a homeowner, these sorts of things happen, and they really piss you off. Because if you rent, you can call up a landlord, hey. When you own the place, that's yours. The heat and the hot water operate on the same system. It's hot water fueled heat. Now, it's starting to get very, very bitterly cold in North Carolina. The temperature was dropping down to about 42 degrees Fahrenheit.
No, it's not that cold.
Enough to chill the blood.
That's swimming weather.
Thank you, Max. And I called a repair person. Actually, what I did was I called the company that had been taking care of my air conditioning and heating system. And I said, can you fix this? And they said, oh no, the problem is in the hot water heater. You need to hire a plumber. Okay, why not? So I brought in a plumber. Yeah, little guy with a mustache, just like that. And I opened the door and said, it's me, your plumber. And he came in. And he said, oh, I see the problem. This is a gas hot water heater. Your gas control valve has gone bad. It'll have to be replaced. And I saw the dollar signs flash in my eyes, but if you have to, you have to. So I told him, all right, how long is this going to take? And he said, well, I might be able to get one today. If I can't, I'll see if I can get one from the supplier tomorrow. Okay, that's another night with no hot water. I'll just go down to my little dear and tainted mom's place, and shower there. She just lives down the road. The next day, which was a Thursday, the plumbing company called back and said, okay, we're going to get a gas control valve for you Thursday. I said, yes, but this is Thursday. They said, oh, no, not this one. I said, which one? They said, one of them. I said, let me get this straight. I have a gas control valve coming, and you don't know where it is. They said, oh, we know exactly where it is. I said, where? And they said, coming. So I waited a week. On the appointed day, I called them and said, is my gas control valve here? And they said, no. I gave them another day, and they also said no. So I called the air conditioning and heating company, and I said, look, I know this is a plumbing issue, but I need a gas control valve. Can you guys give me some advice? And they said, have you considered calling the manufacturer of the hot water heater? And I said, of course, yes, naturally. Yeah, that's the first thing I thought of. I was just about to do that when I got off the phone with you. Bye. And I called the manufacturer and I said, you guys got a gas control valve for this, thing? And the lady said, oh yeah, how many do you need? One, that really, I'm not greedy, just one will do. She said, when do you need it? I said, now. She said, the pickup for UPS is at 3:30. It's 3:28 now. Let's see if we can get the order in 2 minutes. We almost did. At 3:31, she hit send. But you know how systems are. So I didn't have my gas control valve. This is going to leave me with another weekend. Monday, the gas control valve is going to show up. Monday, however, we had an incident. A weather incident in North Carolina. It snowed somewhere in the state. And everything ground to a screeching halt. Because for those of you in snowy areas, you take it for granted you have snow removal equipment. In such states as North Carolina, they don't. Their strategy for dealing with snowfall is to wait for it to melt. Honestly, that's why the schools will close for a week. You can look up on the intertubes there, on your googly searches, look for Raleigh Snowpocalypse 2014. It's a very famous photo of a street in Raleigh covered with snow and cars everywhere, one of them upside down and on fire. Well, I used to live in Arkansas, by the way, years ago. They had the same problem. In the entire state, they had one sand truck, which they used at the capital area. I saw it one day in action. The sand truck was a dump truck with 4 convicts in the back with shovel. So Monday came about, and I was waiting for the delivery, and I was watching the UPS thing. You know, the UPS tracker, there's the thing that's in the, no, it hasn't gone yet, no, it hasn't gone yet, no, it hasn't gone yet. And then suddenly it said, delivery attempted. I said, I've been waiting here. There's no footprints in the dusting of snow out there. So I called up UPS and said, what the hell is this? They said, we attempted delivery. I said, no, you did not. They said, well, we thought about it. I said, so what's this mean for me? And the lady said, well, we really couldn't endanger one of our drivers to go out and bring you your package. I said, oh, yes, those snowflakes could have crashed through the windshield of his truck and impaled him, I guess. So I had to wait till the next day, and it arrived. But then I started to think, do I really want to have a plumbing company that couldn't figure out how to get one of these things, install it? I called the heating and air conditioning people again, and I said, okay, listen, this is a gas control valve. I know that you service gas units. This is not part of the water system, it's part of the natural gas system. Can you install this valve for me? And the lady said, well, we're really not supposed to. It's like this. If we did not install the unit, we can't install the gas control valve. You're going to have to get somebody else to do it. And I said, well, you know, I'm sitting here looking at it. It doesn't look that difficult. Yeah, okay, I can see it right now. I can probably just hacksaw off at each end. And get some duct tape. They say, no, sir, this really has to be done by a professional. I don't know, to hell with it. No, I got a hacksaw, I got duct tape, I'll be fine. The lady said, sir, could you hold on a moment? She put me on hold, and 30 seconds later she came on and said, we'll have somebody out there tomorrow. There are times you simply have to play hardball with people. I am a firm believer in customer service. This is, after all, the service industry. We want to make people happy. We want to give people what they want. Which is why when I see a customer service issue at another corporation, I try to bring it to their attention. You know, professional courtesy. So I tried to be very professionally courteous to Air Canada a few months ago. Oh, you've flown Air Canada, have you? I was flying up to Vernal Equinox in Toronto. There's the Canadians out there. Pardon me. I'm gonna have to go faster. There's 4 bottles back there.
Why don't you share?
Share? Screw you. The only person I would share it with is Vic. And it would be awkward with him trying to hold the glass. That's what happens with sign language people when they hold a glass of alcohol. They start to slur their words. Sorry, Vic, I love you. I just thought of that just on the cuff. I was flying. I had a wonderful time at Vernal Equinox. Vernal Equinox is great, and they have Tim Hortons. Oh my God, I love Tim Hortons. You could just give me intravenous Tim Hortons coffee, and I will love you forever. It's made with freshly roasted coffee beans and heroin. And sugar. When I was flying back, I went to the Air Canada Maple Leaf Lounge, because that's what us frequent flyers do. You go to the lounge, and they give you alcohol, and you're like, oh, I'm in the lounge, and and I was sitting and made some friends with some German gentlemen. And we were talking. I didn't try to speak German to them. These guys know what happens when I try to do that. It's the Florence guys down here. I'll tell you more about them later if you're good. I was sitting in the Air Canada Maple Leaf Lounge at Toronto's Pearson Airport, and an announcement came over. I hear all sorts of announcements. This was a new one. Ladies and gentlemen, we seem to be experiencing a small fire in the gate area. Please do not go to the gate area. And I looked at the German gentleman and I said, yes, important safety tip. I think we should stay here. So we refreshed ourselves and we were sitting chatting. And I said to these guys, wait a minute, whoa, wait. If there's a fire in the gate area, that might affect our outbound flight somewhat, as fires tend to do when they burn things, like airplanes. I said, I'm going to go find out. So I went around down a little hallway to where the front desk, the reception area of the lounge was. And I saw all of the staff gathered. And I saw the manager saying, okay, we're going to open the stairway here. You're going to go get everybody out. We need to make sure nobody's back in that area. That's all I had to hear. I went back and I said to my German friends, okay, guys, pack your bags. I think we're leaving. So the announcement came, ladies and gentlemen, we do apologize for the inconvenience. Oh, Canadians love to apologize. We're very sorry, they said, but we're afraid we're going to have to evacuate the club. So if you would kindly get your belongings and come to the reception area, we will lead you to safety. So we're starting to pack up, and we all looked over at the bar where nobody was standing, with all these bottles, and we looked at each other, and we thought, I wonder how close that fire is. But by that point, we noticed we could smell smoke. We'll come back. Wait for us. So they got all of the patrons assembled, and by now I could see visible smoke, and I was starting to think, you know, this might turn into one of those stories. So the club staff were phenomenal. Kept everybody calm, kept everybody informed, made sure there was no panic or excitement. They lined us up just like a school, evacuation drill, and they led us down the stairs, down a winding set of stairs, past a bunch of alarms that were going off, out a door into the open, and we walked along the edge of the tarmac to another door, and we went in. It was a reception area, and right there was a Tim Hortons. I said, I'm in heaven, that's it, hallelujah, okay. So I sent a text to my mom, in case she would be upset. I wanted to calm her down. I sent a text to my mom saying, hi, airport on fire, emergency vehicles everywhere, but Tim Hortons, bye, love you. That was to get her back from the time she was taking a train from North Carolina to visit me to go back home to Pennsylvania. And she sent me a text saying, well, the train didn't derail, but the truck's in very bad condition. You had it coming. So we were waiting there, and some buses came along. And we were ushered onto the buses, and they drove us a great distance to some place that I think was in Manitoba. None of the Americans know Canadian geography, that's why there was no reaction to that. Oh my God. There's a little fly on the rim of my glass. It's a kindred spirit. Come on, go on, go on. Go on. Dude, fuck off, I'm telling you, go on. There you go. Oh. It's on me. It likes me. It must be a fruit fly. It was the best I could think of on short notice. So the buses eventually took us to a pair of glass doors, and they opened and the people got off of the bus. It was a customs receiving area. And we stood there and we kind of all looked at each other and said, okay, what now? And there was a lady there in a Mountie uniform who was saying, okay, move along, please, move along, move along. And I said, yes, may I ask, move along where? And she said, well, where do you want to go? I said, home, frankly. She said, you have to go through customs. I said, well, I've already gone through customs, miss. She said, what are you doing here? I said, okay, we were evacuated from Terminal 1 because of the fire. She said, what fire? I said, I'm not going to get a lot of information out of you, I don't think. Apparently, Terminal 1 is actively on fire. You might notice the red lights and the orange glow on the horizon. Yeah, that's not a Maple Leafs game. That's Terminal 1. Okay? She said, I don't know anything about that. You're just going to have to go back through customs. Okay, why not? I'm starting to ping Air Canada on Twitter saying, help guys, give us some guidance. What are we supposed to do? There was no answer. So I went back through the border back into Canada. Back through customs. And the customs agent said, hello, how long do you plan to be in Canada? I said, well, a minute if I have my druthers. They don't have a good sense of humor, these border people. And I say, well, we were evacuated here from the fire in Terminal 1. Yes, there is a fire in Terminal 1, I know. And he said, well, I don't know anything about that. I said, obviously. What am I supposed to do? He took my passport, he went, welcome to Canada. So we were ushered back into Canada. Apparently, this side of the door is the United States, this side is Canada. It's weird up there. So we found ourselves in a luggage claim area. And we began to ask ourselves, are we supposed to now collect our luggage? What are we supposed to do? And Air Canada was not answering. And I tried calling Air Canada's ticketing number. They had other things on their mind. Air Canada was like,
yeah, we had to cancel a bunch of flights because of the 730 MAX. Sorry, buddy.
That's all they said, over and over.
We had to cancel the flights due to the 737 MAX. Sorry, buddy.
I'm serious, that's what they said.
Sorry. I'm sorry, buddy.
I mean, it's usually very charming, but when you're tired and your clothes smell like smoke and you just want to get back home, it's not that funny. And we were getting very agitated. No one could tell us what to do. Oh my gosh, it turned into Lauren. Hi, Lauren. It's amazing, this transformation that goes on over here. I never see it happen. When it happens, tell me, I want to see it. We found an information desk, which is a misnomer. Up against a wall was a little box about this big, with a man sitting on a stool, and a little tiny sign in 18-point font said, information. Went up and I said, I wonder if you can help me. And he said, well, I'll try. I said, well, that's further than I've gotten from anybody else. Thank you very much for that. We have just been evacuated from Terminal 1 because of the fire. And he looked at me and I said, you're going to say what fire, aren't you? He said, I've not been informed of any fire. I said, you see the Maple Leafs game going on out there? That's not a Maple Leafs game, that's Terminal 1. Can you tell us what we're supposed to do? So, bless his soul, he got on the phone and started calling to multiple people who also had not realized this was not a Maple Leafs game going on. And finally he hung up and he said, well, sir, I was not able to get any information. The best advice I can give you is this. Go down to the end of the chamber here, make a right, there's a corridor. When you get to the end of the corridor, there's double doors, turn left, go down to the fourth set of doors, take the escalators up, get onto the tram, and go to Terminal 1. Excuse me, you might have missed the whole point of me being here. I'm happy to take your advice, but what if, hypothetically, I get on the tram and I go to Terminal 1 and Terminal 1 happens to still be on fire? He says, well then come back. It's at this point I need to remind you, I don't make this shit up. My stories are true. And you can ask my friends and family in the front row, they'll tell you, oh yeah, it happens just like this. As a matter of fact, we were having dinner earlier, Big Blue Fox was there, and he was explaining to my mother that nothing ever happened in his life until he met me. And that every single week, some calamity befell somebody as long as I was there. We'd be driving down the Autobahn and cars would explode on either side of us. That's not true, I made that up. That's the one thing. So, still true, thank you. So I befriended a gentleman. He was on his way to New York City, a fellow named Bruce. And we started, power walking through the terminal, grumbling to each other, wondering what we're going to do. And we passed the requisite number of spots, but we saw no escalator, nothing to indicate anything was going to Terminal 1. So we said, well, hell, we've come this far, let's just keep walking. We will either find Terminal 1 or we will be back in the United States. Because I believe we're heading south. So, at one point, I happened to glance over my shoulder. We're power walking along. About 30 feet behind us was a gang of 50 or 60 people, all struggling to keep up. I looked over at Bruce and I said, "You think they're following us?" And then I realized, when I travel, particularly in the winter, I like to wear my bowler. And apparently I had this beacon on my head everybody was just zeroing in on. We finally found the escalators up to the tram, took us to Terminal 1. It was fun getting on because once we got on the little tram there and the doors closed, we realized just how much our clothes smelled like smoke. Because it's like on there, it's like, then the other people were saying, "Does anybody else smell fire?" And Bruce and I said, "Yeah, it's us. We're burning." I even said to some people, are you on your way to Terminal 1? And they said, "Yes." I said, "Yeah, that's what you think." But when we got there, the fire had apparently been extinguished. So now, everyone who had been in Terminal 1 on both sides of the border had now returned to the concourse. I would estimate maybe 2,000 people, maybe about the size of this room, if you will, all trying to get across the border again, but the border had not reopened. And nobody was telling us anything. We started to queue up. The Canadians say queue up. You guys say that too, right? Yeah, he's Scottish. And we were standing there, and the announcements kept coming on. All planes are being held at their gates. That sounded promising, but as time went on, we started to think, what exactly does being held at their gates mean? Way out here, the border crossing is here, and way out on the concourse, there was a flight board that told us the status of all the departing flights. And they all simply said, delayed. Very useful information there. Periodically, we would kind of draw straws, this big crowd of people, and elect a person to run back to the concourse and see if there was any more information. Because Air Canada was not very forthcoming. And the person would run back and say, it hasn't changed. And of course, the airport Wi-Fi was somewhat full, if you can imagine. First off, it's Canada. It's a third world country. They don't have the best Wi-Fi.
I'm sorry, buddy.
So, after a time, one man suddenly announced, "Oh my God, I got through to the Air Canada website. He became the Messiah." People were clustering around him. Tell us, oh Master, how may we achieve home?" And this guy's going, "Okay, what's your flight?" "That one's canceled." "Sorry, buddy." "How about you? What's your flight?" "Sorry, buddy." I said, I'm going to Raleigh." He went, "Okay, Raleigh." "Sorry, bye." I ran out. By now, Air Canada had decided it might be a good idea to open a 1 or 2 ticketing counters. So I got on the phone to United Airlines, through whom I had booked this ill-fated ticket. And I said, I'm a United Airlines amazing high-level suck-my-dick frequent flyer and I need your help. I'm standing in line, I'm going to be talking to an Air Canada representative, but if you can help me, I would much rather you did, because you at least speak English without an accent.
And then he said, well, thank you very much, Dr. Conway. I'm going to try to find you.
And just about when I was 2 people away from the ticket agent, the nice lady came back on.
I'm terribly sorry, Dr. Conway. Because you are with Air Canada, our systems do not match. I am unable to offer you any assistance. I'm very sorry, buddy.
She didn't say that. I think I did. I got up to the ticket agent lady, and about that time, the nice lady on the phone says, oh, wait, I can't rebook you. And I'm like, don't go away. Don't go away. Stay there. You're going to rebook me? She said, yes, there's a flight at 8:15 tomorrow. I'm going to put you on it. I said, great. What about my luggage? She said, you'll have to talk to the Air Canada lady. I said, she's right here. No problem. Thank you. Love you. Bye-bye. I said, hi, Air Canada lady. I've just been rebooked on the 8:15 flight tomorrow to Raleigh, and I need to find out about my luggage. And the lady went, tappity, tappity, tappity. I don't see an 8:15 flight. I said, but she told me it's an 8:15 flight. And she said, I don't see an 8:15 flight. I said, but she just, okay, it was flight, let me try to remember. It was flight 7619? No. I was getting frantic. She told me there's a flight at 8:15. Maybe it's 7691. She went, oh, there it is. Oh. It must have been hard to see among the 85 flights from Toronto to Raleigh tomorrow morning. Somebody's flown from Toronto to Raleigh, I can tell. So she gave me a boarding pass. And I said, now, where do I get my luggage? She said, you don't. I said, but it's my luggage. I would very much like to have it. She said, it hasn't been released yet. I said, what are my options? She said, well, you can wait here and see if it gets released. And that's when I said, thank you. I'm calling Ronnie. Maybe he'll let me crash on his floor. So I left the airport. Ronnie let me crash on his floor. Ronnie's Canadian, by the way, if you can figure it out. Oh, that's great music. I love that. The next morning, 3 hours before the departing flight, I went back to the airport with my boarding pass, and I went to the Air Canada counter and I said, hi. I have a boarding pass. Before I make any assumptions, I want to make sure that, number one, my luggage is going to be on this plane, and number two, this plane actually exists. So the lady was going tappity, 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 and getting that frown on her face. That one that says, I'm looking at the Matrix, I don't understand it. And she was getting squintier and squintier looking at the screen. And finally, I could stand the suspense no longer. I said, what is the problem, miss? She said, well, I've never seen this before. You have a ticket, and you have a seat assignment, but you don't have a reservation. I'm going to let that one sink in for a moment. Because your reaction right now is exactly what I was thinking. If I have a ticket, and I have a seat assignment, isn't that what a reservation is? She said, yes, that's why it's so confusing. I said, well, I'm glad that we're all very confused. Could you find out how to fix this? So she went toddling off. It took about 15 minutes. She finally came back out of breath with a new boarding pass. She said, we got it sorted. Terribly sorry. Here is your new boarding pass. We've got the reservation sorted. I said, and the luggage? She said, your bag is on the plane. Hallelujah, thank you so much. The border was now open. I went to the border crossing. Odd sort of circumstance. There's a guy there saying, did you check any luggage? If the answer is yes, you went over here. Did you check any luggage? The answer is no, you proceeded across the border. The man, when he asked me, had I checked any luggage, I said, yes, it's on the plane, see? He went tappity-tapping on his computer. He said, oh, your bag hasn't been released yet. I said, no, you're a little late. That was last night. Of course it's been released. He said, well, according to this, it's not been released. I said, okay, I'll bite. What do I have to do? Because at this point I was past being mad, and now I was just amused. Because I just wanted to see what was going to happen next. This is great! It's like a choose-your-own-adventure book. If you turn left, you get the dragon. I said, what do I need to do? He said, okay, go down to the end of the concourse. You're going to turn right. When you get to a set of double doors, go through the double doors, turn left. You're going to go down 4th entrance to see an escalator. I said, wait, it's not going to take me to Terminal 1, is it? He said, no, there's a service desk there. I said, bye. And I went down the corridor, the end there, to the right, and through the doors, and down, and an escalator, and up. There was a counter with about 6 or 7 computer stations and 6 or 7 Air Canada representatives and a long queue of people snaking away from it. I still had 2.5 hours to kill, so I got in the queue. And they were doing their best to take care of people. There was one guy, I still, to this day, don't know what this was. The guy was standing at a computer screen, and he wasn't moving. I said to the lady behind me, I think he's dead. He didn't move the entire time! Excuse me. Oh, the trauma. I finally got to the front of this dreadful queue, and I said, the man outside told me my bag had not been released. And the lady said, oh, well, you didn't have to stand in the queue. I said, yeah, I'm loving this. I'm just loving every minute of this. This is great. I'm going to be talking about this on stage in a couple months, by the way. So, okay, lay it on me. What do I got to do now? She said, oh, well, take a seat. And there's a board over there, and you'll see names popping up. When your name pops up, your bag has been released. Okay? So I sat and I was watching the board. That's why they call it a board, by the way. My name will pop up eventually. And I was getting a little bit worried because I noticed names would come up and they'd be up for 10 or 15 minutes and then they would disappear. And another name would come up and there'd be 6 or 7 and then one of them would disappear. And I thought, what if mine already popped up and it disappeared? How would I know? Rod Serling was whispering in my ear, sorry, buddy. So I was thinking to get up, and I happened to look over my shoulder. There was a very, very frail, elderly black lady. Please forgive me the term black. And she was in a wheelchair. And as I sat, she very painfully got up out of the wheelchair and was starting to shuffle very slowly toward the men's room. Now, I'm from North Carolina. We're still wrestling with this. And I'm like, what do you do? It's the 21st century. Maybe they know. Well, I saw her go in, and then a moment later she came shuffling out again. And she was wandering around looking lost. Okay, I am my father's son. We are not going to have any of this on my watch, okay? So I got up and I said, Madam, do you need some help? And she looked at me, and I realized very quickly she did not speak English. She spoke only French. Fortunately, I speak French. Of course, she didn't have to, because she looked at me and she said, Je voudrais faire du pipi. Ici, madame, ici. Là. Ici. So I led her over to the ladies' room, and then I went and I got her wheelchair for her, and I waited for her. And when she came out, I sat her down in the wheelchair, and that's when she tugged my sleeve and she told me in French, she was from one of the Caribbean islands, you see. Charming. Oh, I lost it. She explained she didn't have a boarding pass. She'd been there since I got there. And I went up to the counter and I flagged somebody down. They were trying to tell me to wait in the queue. I said, is anyone helping this lady? And they seemed to notice her for the first time. And an Air Canada representative came out and went to talk to her. I found the one person in Canada who doesn't speak French. So I had to translate. Where was I? Oh yes, French! When this was all done, they gave the nice lady her boarding pass and somebody came to take her to her plane, and I went back and I looked at the board and I thought, oh wait, now it's very likely my name came up and had gone away. So I went and I found another Air Canada person. I said, how do I know if my name didn't come up and go away again? The lady said, oh, let me see your boarding pass. She went to a little kiosk and went, boop. She says, oh no, it's released. Give me! I went running back to the border. Trailing my luggage behind me, holding onto my bowler with this hand. And I went up, same guy at the border. I said, hi, okay, it's taken care of. Can I go now? And he put the boarding pass under, and he said, oh, your bag's not released. It's deleted. I said, what does deleted mean? He said, it means it's not here anymore. I said, well, where did it go? This is not Houdini. What's going on here? Is there a spatial anomaly here in Pearson Airport? Navy guys hate me, by the way. So he said, you're going to have to go back down the end of the... And I said, yeah, I know the way. So I ran back, and this time I didn't bother waiting in the queue. I took a tip from my dear and said to mother, old man, excuse me, old man. Slammed the thing down and said, what the hell is going on in my bag? And the lady took it and she put it in and she said, it says it's been deleted. I said, uh-huh. She said, what does that mean?
I ain't making this up. I swear to God, I'm not making this up.
She started going to the other counters. Now, perhaps I've been hanging around Big for a while because I can read lips. I saw her going up and saying, finally, she called in a supervisor. The supervisor came in, and he said, how may I help you? My bag is deleted. So he called the first lady over and said, this gentleman's bag is deleted. I said, she knows, I told her, okay? So she went on the computer. tappity tappy. Okay, what do I do now? And I saw him say, okay, click undelete. I swear, yeah, undelete. Boom, there, you're done. Ran through the border, got on my plane with 15 seconds to spare. Got back to Raleigh, wrote a scathing letter to Air Canada. First off, praising the staff at the Air Canada Lounge for their handling of the emergency, but absolutely damning Air Canada customer service for abandoning us in a foreign third world country where nobody knows how to goddamn undelete a bag. I listed bullet point A, B, C, D, E, F, G. This is why you suck. It was 3 months before I got a reply.
Sorry, buddy.
Got a bunch of other things on my list here, but I'm just about out of time. You've got a lot more talent coming up on this stage. I'm the opening act. The real show is still to come. Before I go, I've got a little note. Because a lot of people have been coming up to me this weekend saying, oh, Uncle Kage, we want to start furry conventions. No, you don't. No. If you want to start a furry convention, first off, make friends with a lawyer. Give him booze. They work for booze. They don't. Booze. One of the first things in the United States, if you want to organize a furry convention and you want to be non-profit, you must register yourselves as a non-profit entity with the United States government. You do that through Section 501C of the tax code. A lot of people don't understand a subtle nuance. We have on one hand 501c3, a pure public charity, a school, a church, a blood donation group, something that benefits the public at large. Versus 501c7, that is a fraternal organization, a social group, a community group. When I incorporated Anthrocon on the 30th of June, 1998, that was fucking 21 years ago, wasn't it?
Anthrocon's opened up the drink!
I was doing my research. 501c3, pure public charity. Is this thing going to be a pure public charity, or is it a fraternal organization? Well, I happen to have taken some notes here. This is what the requirement is for a 501c7. The club must be organized for exempt purposes. You can't be organized for profit. The club must be supported by membership fees. The club must provide an opportunity for personal contact among members. That's the one. I'm a very, very timely person. I have 31 more seconds. But I'm going to relinquish boy, I'm done. I'm going to relinquish that 18 more seconds. And I'm going to invite the most amazing rabbit you ever met. Chris the Comedy Bunny, where are you? You better be ready because everything starts on time in Anthrocon. Yeah, Eurofurrent. Suck it. Okay. I'm going to invite Chris the Comedy Bunny up here to introduce the rest of the... I'm going to...
What about that last panel here?
So, Chris the Comedy Bunny is on his way up the ramp right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a big hand for Chris the Comedy Bunny. Ah, there he is!
Holy. Okay, that's fine. Hi everyone, how are you doing today? Did you enjoy our play Story Hour?
Kage, but yeah.
That felt a little lukewarm. Come on, one more time. Okay, good. Well, before we give you any of a chance to leave, stop them, shut the doors, don't let them leave. We are going to treat you to the three-headed monster! And I am Chris, the Comedy Bunny, the keeper of the monster. And I know a few of you may be worried that I couldn't tell a joke, but I'm here to prove you wrong. You see, I work in AV. This is my home, and I do this sort of thing for a living. Now, the company I work for will build sets like this, and they'll order the stuff from the warehouse. We were at the warehouse, and my coworker, kind of a goon, if you will, decides, you know what? I think I want to pull the show for myself. So he pulls it for himself, he comes up to me, and he's like, I did it. And I'm like, did you? And he's like, oh yeah, I did. And I was like, all right, let's go over it. So I walk over to my boss, we sit down, I start going through the list with him, and I'm like, quarter-inch shackles? Yeah, I did it. All right, 20 pieces of stage deck? Oh yeah, I killed it. All right. 6-foot span sets? Oh yeah, no, I got those. Try something else. And I was like, all right. Half-inch butt for? There it is. And he goes, what? And I look at him, and I look over at my boss, and my boss, mouth agape, like God himself had come down, is like, no, you're not going for it, are you? There's no way. No. And then I look back at my guy, and I'm like, a half-inch butt for? And then he looks and says, what's a butt for? And I take my victory lap, woo, as my boss starts playing, all I do is win, no matter what. Got money on my mind, can't never give it up. And I get up into his face and I'm like, full pooping, stupid! And now I don't have a job. So, our first head of this monster is also doesn't have a job. So everybody give it up for Xander, the Blue!
Thanks for the intro, Chris. Jesus. Oh, hello, Pittsburgh! All right, 1 for 1. Sweet. And if you're asking, would he forget the city? And everyone watched the Dragon Show? They're like, yeah, he would. So, anyway, this is my second time on Anthrocon main stage. And so who's ready for a sophomore slump? I should really return that book on self-confidence, really. I did like that chapter about cultivating self-deprecation, though. It really works. Anyway, so this is... oh my God, sorry, I'm just a little nervous. I forget how many people are in this room. It's insane. And I'm an introvert, so for me, this is like smoking the whole pack. Which means a different thing if you're a furry. Well, anyway, sorry about that. All right, so it's weird being a comedian now because, you know, there's a lot of discussion about what can you joke about, what should you joke about. And I'll tell you what, one joke that I don't think is funny anymore is when someone's like, you should be president. Yeah, that's good. See, whenever someone does that, I'm like, hey, that shit isn't funny anymore. Because All right. The thing is, if you're good at one thing, doesn't mean you're good at another. Ben Carson is a brain surgeon and thinks that there's grain in the pyramids, okay? I'm sure he would be great at saving conjoined twins, but you would suck at Jeopardy. Myself, I can beat Ninja Gaiden. I've beaten it 5 times on the NES, but I've also gotten lost that many times in Pittsburgh this weekend. Like, I can kind of do this, but don't give me your taxes. All right. Let's see how this is going. All right, so real quick, I want to talk about real quick. I swear to God. So this is the fact that bothers me is that Joe Biden has a podcast. Because I have a podcast, but I'm not running for president. So like, how did that happen? Because last I saw, Obama was like, Joe, I want you to cure cancer. And then he released a podcast. Like, what happened? Is this part of the process? Because that should be in the podcast. Like, hi, I'm Joe Biden. And solving cancer is going to be the hardest thing I've ever done. But you know what? Even I can make an easy website with QuickBooks. just put in the code. Vice President Joe Biden 2020, 20% off. Anyway, back to the podcast. So, climate change is a big problem. And with a lot of climate change, we're going to have to deal with world hunger. But you'll never go hungry with Blue Apron. Oh, man. Okay, so let me see where that's going. And I'm going to get off of politics now. So, like, I'm going to talk about way less controversial topics. So, you know, I'm just going to give you my opinions on, like, random mythical creatures. Obviously, I like dragons. Any dragons here? Yeah, right. All right, don't believe what you see in the media. We will not burn down your city, okay? That's bullshit. Unicorns are weird. Because, like, you get to be magic, but you have to deal with this all the time. Every time you turn your head, it's like a lawsuit waiting to happen. Carl, what the hell, man? What else I got here? Fawns are pretty cool. Griffins don't shut the fuck up. I don't know about you guys. I've noticed that. It's like, it's going. If you show up at a party, they're like, oh man, like I don't want people to say I'm at the Griffin party, so I'm gonna get out of here, but anyway. Dwarves are cool. Dwarves are really cool. I like some Gimli. Let's get off of that shit. So, I don't know about you guys. I can't go to the movies anymore without seeing trailers that, like, the title is the punchline. I don't know how else to explain it. Because you don't know what you're watching until you know the title. And I've noticed this more and more. Alkali and I were at a movie, and all these really depressed teenagers dealing with problems, really depressed. Oh my God, I can't deal with this. And they show the title, Power Rangers. So now I'm just assuming every movie is a gritty reboot now. You know, it'll just be like, in a very dark room with no light switch. Well, we start a dark room, and there's a guy just sitting there in the corner. There's like wrappers in the ground and Snickers and stuff. It's like, Frank, you can't stop eating. It's your diabetes, man. It's the only way I know how to be happy. Candyland. Or another one could be like, Nicolas Cage is the best firefighter in New York, but he doesn't love it as much as he loves heroin. Nicolas Cage and shoots at ladders. All right, one more. So, it could be like the very true story of 20 brave people who climbed Mount Everest. From James Cameron, the very true story. Trivial Pursuit. Okay. So, me and Alkali get along pretty well, obviously. And we don't have many fights, but we had one crazy altercation. It was a big problem. I could just say I farted, but that would be like saying Puerto Rico had rain. It just doesn't do it justice. So basically what I found out is if I have nothing all day and I drink a pitcher of beer, I can create a biological weapon in my tummy. And what happened in the middle of the night, everything was fine, I unleashed the beast. And alcohol is very hard to wake up. Normally it's just like, he's just like, if I try to wake up, he's just, alkali, ISIS is here. When this happened, he just sat up right away, looked at me, and went, "Did you shit the bed?" It went through the whole house. We had to open up every window. It was a disaster. Now, even if he just sees me in the hallway, like from now on, if I even touch a beer, he just looks at me. Like a Vietnam vet looks at an Asian businessman. I know, sorry. Okay, anyway. So one last thing for you guys. Here's a quick stupid joke for you. I don't know about you, a live birth really is the most horrifying unboxing. I just want to get that out there. No, but it's beautiful, I'm sorry. All right, I need to give you a quick story about a chicken sandwich, because this is really important to me. If anyone follows me, you know that I like spicy food. And in Chicago, I've been always looking for the perfect chicken sandwich. And right down the road, there's this new place called Fry the Coop. And it's Nashville style, super hot chicken sandwiches. It's amazing. And every time I go there, I really care. I put on my good sweats and everything. That's a big deal. I'm unemployed. I put on my good sweats. Because surgeons have figured it out, right? They get to wear sweats all day. It's the pajamas of the upper class, really. Anyway, so we're getting a sandwich and we're ordering our stuff, and I noticed that the song is the quintessential classic, Eddie Murphy's in the 80s, Party All the Time. Just because you're good at one thing doesn't mean, all right. So if you didn't know, Eddie Murphy released a song before it was cool for comedians. So we're hearing this, it's funny because it's really cheesy and stupid. And as you order your food, I realized that really this place is so spicy, it's just like S&M. I'm seriously, it's S&M for your intestines, because like when you order, I can prove it. They look at you dead in the eye. And you're like, "Are you sure? Have you had it before?" "Yes, I have." You know the last guy, you see the guy in the news who lit himself on the fire? Chicken sandwich. So you check with him, you go back, we're enjoying our chicken sandwiches, I'm sweating, it's wonderful. And I noticed that the song is still Eddie Murphy's Party All the Time. Like, what the hell's going on? Okay, whatever. And as the song ends, I'm like, all right, let's see what's next. Eddie Murphy's Party All the Time. Like, we should really get out of here fast, because I cannot take this anymore. This is ridiculous. So basically, we're sitting there, and as we're getting ready to finish up, I'm ready for the next song to come in. Country music. I don't like country music, but this was like, oh my God, thank you. Country music, and I stuck around for a little bit longer. So basically, what I'm trying to tell you is, please get out and vote next year. I don't know, I don't like country music. It doesn't have to be country music, who knows? But if you want the same 80s bullshit from last time, you can go vote for Party All the Time again, I don't know. That's up to you. Anyway, I'm getting out of here. Thank you very much. I'm Dan the Blue. Good night.
Hi, everyone. I grabbed the mic. I'm not driving the mic. These are really expensive. I used to work in this industry. Thank you. Okay, well, that was Xander. Everyone clap again. There we go. Cool. That's awesome. All right, so I was looking at my notes to figure out what my next joke was, and I noticed that one of my notes was just weed, and I went, huh. Weed is kind of funny, huh? And then I was like, oh shit, that's right. And I looked at the note above it and it said that time I almost got CPS called on my mom because of my own stupidity. So that's happening now. So anyways, I was a dumb kid, and I was 8 years old, and also dumb. They're like synonymous. And so, I'm doing my thing, I'm being dumb, I'm being 8, and I have to go see a counselor because of behavioral issues, like you do. And this is the first time I'm seeing said counselor, so she has me fill out some paperwork, like you do. And I'm dumb and 8, so where it says shit like social security number, I write my phone number. And where it says stuff like sex, I write, yeah, because my dad said it's funny. And it gets to one particular question, which is parental occupation. And I was like, well, I know parental means parent. Occupation, on the other hand, maybe something to do with 8? Because octagons are a thing? So I'm like, I don't know what this means, but I'm not going to show any weakness to this person. So I lie. And my lie is, it's a secret. Secrets are important. You don't ask questions about secrets, right? So I'm covered. I'm gold, right? So this person looks at the paperwork and goes, huh, so for your mom's occupation, you wrote, it's a secret, huh? Why is it a secret? And I was like, oh shit. She caught me. What do I do? Oh, well, in for a penny. Well, if anyone found out, she said she would get in a lot of trouble, so I'm not allowed to tell anyone anything about it. And this lady is like, huh. And in her head, I'm assuming she's like, oh my God, his mom's a hooker or a drug dealer. This is really, really bad. I need to help this person because I'm a good person. Well, it's not a big deal if you tell me because anything you say in here is safe. I can't share any secrets outside of this room. And I'm like, really? And I'm like, oh shit. So you can tell me what it is. And I go, oh, well, gee. And so now my little 8-year-old brain is working overtime, really trying to come up with a lie about a word I have no concept of. And I'm like, well, what would get her in trouble? And I was like, well, our dog died recently. And we have him buried in the backyard. And on special occasions, we like to buy steaks and throw them on his grave. And I'm like, nailed it. There's no way she'll question that. And I see her writing something down, and I assume it was like, this kid's a fucking idiot. So that happened a lot. But I would like to introduce a man who hopefully would have gotten my mom out of any kind of child protective service problems. Boozy the Badger!
I'm sorry. Welcome to Pittsburgh, you motherfuckers, and I need to talk.
I didn't do it!
When I'm having a good day, when everything seems like it's going all right, when I need to be brought back to earth, you know what I do? I open furry Twitter. Goddamn hellmouth. It's become clear we need to set some boundaries, folks. There are a myriad of things you can do in this world. But you can't fuck your dog. There is a large spectrum here. All the way over here are things you can't fuck. They include your dog, kids, and then there's a line. And all the way over here are the things it's definitely okay to fuck. There is a lot of gray area between the line and over here. No one cares about that. You can fuck a bagel if you want to. It makes sense. It has a hole. It's warm from the oven. If you use some cream cheese, you don't need lube. And when you're finished, tasty little snack. Oh God, they're holding Kage back. Are you all enjoying the convention? Wonderful. It struck me during opening ceremonies how different Pittsburgh is from Philadelphia. Because I'm from Philadelphia. And you came here and the head of the Visitor Bureau of Pittsburgh got up here and welcomed you home and showed you a lovely video of neighbors setting chairs out in parking lots. Pittsburgh, you're like family. You know what we would do in Philly? No one would come on stage, there would be a video, it would go like this. Welcome to Philly, fuck you, leave. We introduced Gritty to the world recently. Gritty, I saw Gritty, and like every other Philadelphian, I went, what the fuck is that? Then everybody else in the world was like, what the fuck is that? And everybody in Philly's like, you leave our hairy baby alone. That guy is the personification of Philly. Gritty is a heroin addict who was down on his luck. He went to rehab, he got out, he got a nice job down at the Wawa. Now he lives in North Philly, and on game days he goes outside, sits on the hood of the Camaro up on blocks in front of his house and watches it through the window of his neighbor's row home because he doesn't own a TV. I'm so glad they gave people from Camden, New Jersey jobs. I like to travel. I liked driving out here. It's a 4.5-hour drive. It's not the longest drive I've made. People say, Boozy, why don't you go to other cons? And I say, because I'd have to fly. And they go, why don't you fly? I go, I enjoy driving. I like to drive places. I like to go through small towns and visit them and see what they have to offer. Every small town in this great country has something wonderful to offer except Albany, Kentucky. I've been to Albany, Kentucky. I was in Albany, Kentucky for a court case. Let me tell you how you get to Albany, Kentucky. You get on I-65 south from Louisville, you drive for about 2 hours till you get to Cave City. Welcome to the beginning of nowhere. You get off, you go west for about 2 hours till you get to, I think it's called Bearsville. That's the middle of nowhere. You take a right at the light, you go for another hour and a half until you see a sign that says, welcome to the ass end of nowhere. About 30 minutes past that is Albany. They have a pancake diner, a strip club, and a courthouse. Same building. The bailiff stands up and goes, now calling to the bench / main stage, the Honorable Kage. Attorney in the back stands up, erection! I got to play a good game on the way to Albany. It's called Spot the Meth Lab. You look out the side window of your car, trailer, 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 double wide satellite dish, in-ground pool, 3 Camaros, 2 of them actually run. Somebody's cooking. Look out the other side, there's a gift shop on the side of the road, it says gifts, collectibles, kayaks. Because that's an impulse buy. I can't tell you how many times I've said Mother's Day is coming up, better get a kayak. I got there, I actually did go to the pancake diner. I walked in, it was like one of those bad old West movies. The door opened, the music stopped, everybody looked at me. Like, when I say the music stopped, I meant the kids stopped playing the banjo. Smiled at me for a moment. I asked the waitress, I said, what do you all do around here for fun? She goes, sometimes we go to Bearsville for the movie. Bearsville is 2.5 hours that way. And the movie? Rudy. They've only had the one since 1994. I said, well, what else do you do? She goes, some people go canoeing. I said, no thanks, I've seen that film. Banjo Boy's right over there, so we're good. I do not fly for the same reason other people don't fly. I can't fucking stand humans. I got on a plane to Midwest Fur Fest. I'm not gonna get shot for saying that, am I? I got on a plane to Midwest Fur Fest. I sat down. I looked up and down the aisle, came a Catholic priest. And he had a cross that could best be described as follows. You know Flava Flav? This guy was the Catholic Flava Flav. That cross was huge. He came down the aisle, he settled into the seat next to me. And I am sitting there on my phone before takeoff, texting my friend, telling him, holy shit, a Catholic priest with a cross big enough for 3 Jews to be nailed to it just sat down. My friend, who is friends with a retired Catholic priest, that's apparently a thing. God offers a 401k. Let me know that it's actually probably a bishop to have a crucifix that large, which convinced me that apparently there's a system in the Catholic Church that the higher up you are, the bigger crucifix you get. So I'm convinced that like the Pope just drives around with a semi. I got off the plane in Detroit. I don't know why I had to go to Detroit. I wasn't stopping in Detroit, and no one wants to go to Detroit. Nobody says, I want to have a fun weekend, let's go to Detroit. I got off the plane in Detroit, I switched planes, I got on the other plane, I said goodbye to my priestly friend. I sat back down, and here he came. He sat beside me again. We chatted for a moment, and he said, my son, where are you headed to? I said, well, I'm going to a convention in Chicago. He goes, oh, what sort of convention? Satanists. I invited him to come along. He did not want to. I got 2 MFF. I went into the hotel. I walked up to the counter. I said, I know I'm a little early, but is my room ready? They said, no, it's not ready yet, but give us your number. We'll call you when it's ready. My room was not ready at noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, or 6 o'clock. And finally, at 7 o'clock, I went up to the reservations lady, looked at her and said, look, I don't know what you're doing. And I don't care. If someone killed a hooker in that room, leave it. I want to take a shower. I smell like priest. This is how you know I'm an asshole, because everything's on a list and I don't have the list in front of me. Yes. There we go. Oh, well, this is gonna send me to hell, isn't it? Jesus Christ, what was I on? Speaking of Jesus, a couple years ago I got invited to the wedding of a lovely couple. They're actually in attendance tonight, and I'm so fucking sorry because your friends are going to hear this later. It was a gay wedding. It was not my first gay wedding. I've been to several. But it was the first one I'd ever attended that was actually held in a church. We drove out to a wonderful little church. It was a beautiful ceremony. The groom was sitting there. The other groom was sitting there. The preacher was sitting there. And in the audience were all of their friends and family, including members of their friends and family that you could tell were obviously not used to going to church. They had chosen songs for the ceremony. And you would think they'd be like uplifting, inclusive songs. No, no, no. You all have underestimated what fuck my friends are. Because these guys were choosing the fire and brimstone, God's gonna strike you down songs. I asked him later why, and he said, we want everybody to be fucked up. As I am standing outside smoking a cigarette during the service, a little boy and one of his fathers came out. And the little boy was adorable. He looks up at his dad as they're going towards the bathroom and says, Daddy, why does Jesus need all that power? Is it because he's king of the Jews? Does he need it to fight his enemies? Now, never underestimate a 7-year-old because I knew exactly what was going through his head. In this kid's head, Jesus was a fucking anime character. Like, this kid wasn't thinking of a docile man. This kid was thinking of Mecha Jesus. Like a transformer savior in disguise going on over there. And you know what? My thought was, I don't know what religion he just created, but I'm fucking in. That would be wonderful. When I was a kid, all we had in the Southern Baptist Church was like the Church of Discount Christ. Like misprint Bibles. I was 15 before I learned his name wasn't Jism Chris. Well, I'm running short on time, so I'll leave you with one last thought here. I love that he's already covering his face. Harkening back to this bullshit on Twitter, please allow me to set one more restriction upon you. LGBTQIA+ is a very large rainbow. The tent is huge and we are open and accepting to all of you. Except the kitty diddlers and the dog fuckers. You may say to me, Boozy, who are you to say that we cannot be included in that? And I will tell you who I am. I am a representative of the High Council of Gay. Every letter gets one, and the bisexuals chose me. We met last week, and we all decided the Beagle Bangers don't get to ride the rainbow. We did it on Thursday. It was my turn to bring the snacks. I brought bagels.
Xander go full throttle on a street taco, and it was really weird. So, all right. What do you think? What, are you guys having a good time thus far? Well, we do have one more head to introduce, but before we do that, have you guys ever been in a situation where, like, you're kind of on autopilot and you don't realize really what you're saying? Yes. Yeah. Oh, it's like a class. All right, and, well, I was recently in one of those situations. I was in a drive-thru, like McDonald's or some shit, and I pull up to the window, I pull up to the little thing that takes your order, and I go, all right, I'll have, like, a McDouble and, like, other food, and that'll be great. And the lady's like, hello, and I was like, cool. And she was like, will that complete your order? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, okay, will that complete your order? Yes, it will. Now, would you like to donate $1 to help change a child's life? And I was like, positive or negative? And the lady goes, excuse me? And I go, the change, positive or negative? She's like, huh. Well, I'm gonna have to assume positive? And I was like, oh no, fuck that, I hate kids. She's like, you know what? And she's like, you know what she said to me? You know what she said to me? Your order is $12.25, please hold on. It's super weird. Why in that moment? Why are you trying to get money out of me in that moment? I am being the most self-indulgent human being slob I possibly can be. I'm at McDonald's or some shit. I'm not looking to help anyone, including myself. It's just like the moral of that story is pick your battles, disenfranchised youths. Now, I would like to introduce the final head of the monster, a man who definitely has probably changed the fandom for like a positive. I assume a few people probably realized they were alcoholics after watching him, but that also could be a positive. They did something with it. Don't cheer for alcoholism. That's not like... Either way, Alkali, get on here, the fat, gay Jerry Seinfeld. I know.
Thank you guys very much. If you don't know who I am, you know me as Alkali, or the reason to go to the bathroom during one of the sets. I had an interesting occurrence lately. I got an email. Thank you. Because I do get emails, and every once in a while they're very helpful. Hey, Alkali, we listened to the Dragon Show, and we have some ideas for you. Thank you. I can't tell if this email was the most passive-aggressive nonsense I've ever had to deal with, or the nicest thing anyone has ever said to me. It was one line: "You're amazing. I'm going to Alcoholics Anonymous." Thanks. You heard last year that somebody had accused me of making drinking sexy. And if you saw me a moment ago, my friends were up on stage, so I was standing over there pacing back and forth listening to them. I have spilled no less than 3 swallows of tequila onto my person. I do not make drinking look sexy. I make it look very shaky and kind of into water sports. I got a lesson recently in the most strange area of my life. Some of you watch The Dragon Show. It's a show that I do with my mate Xander and a bunch of our friends. And the producer, the person who makes that show happen, is named Miko. Miko's a very close friend of mine. He is my roommate, and recently, Miko got a family. He adopted 2 precious baby rats. Right? I love that you're the furry fandom. I have never been able to start off that joke and not get at least one, I love you guys for that, because they are some of the most amazing additions to our household. Matilda likes to sit right here on my shoulder, staring off into the distance. I'm gonna call the other rat the other one. The other rat is not as calm as Matilda. The other one has learned that I will put it anywhere it wants if it scratches me nonstop. So it goes here, scratches like, fine. No? That's where it wanted, fine. Well, I fell in love with these rats on the first day, because on the first day, they were a big family. There were 5 of them. We were choosing 2. And on my kitchen table, in a cage, some sawdust on the ground, little ratties, sleeping in a tube, because ratties, they burrow. They like sleeping in tubes. And I watched as one rat shit all over the face of another rat. And I don't mean little rat turds. I mean, it was just like... But that other rat was a trooper. Turned around in the tube and wiped its face on its sister, turned back around to the other rat, bit it, and then went immediately to sleep. So if any of you are wondering why I don't respond on Twitter like a normal human being, I gauge all of my reactions on getting shit on, wiping it on someone else, and biting your ass. And I think it's a good way to live life. I've been trying to make my life a little bit easier. I really have. You guys, some of you who watch our stuff know that we have tried to make our house a smart house. My house is now smarter than me. I had to do my taxes and I no longer have a roof over my head. But that's okay. The house is into topless. So, I did manage to set up Alexa in every room in that house. And it has caused problems. Because there was an evening with my wonderful mate. Believe it or not, sometimes we get drunk. I know. Shocking. Well, we had a night, if you don't know, my mate, I wouldn't call him a hypochondriac because that will trigger something in him and it will all of a sudden think that he's dying. This was one of those nights. The entire night, we're sitting there, we're enjoying cocktails, we're discussing music. I'm not much of a musician, and apparently Xander isn't either because the argument he got into is all horns are ska. Now, I don't know much about music, but I'm pretty sure Taps is not exactly a ska song, to be honest with you. But we needed to know. And laying in bed that night, he's had a bad day. He's been worried about his ticker. We're trying not to talk about it. We're laying in bed, and he leans up and says, Alexa, what is ska? And I want to tell you the real answer that Alexa will give you if you ask that question in the perfect way. Ska. Sudden cardiac arrest. Sudden cardiac arrest is when your heart beats. Alexa, stop! Dead silence in the room, and in the softest voice I've ever heard, is this how I die? Ska, S-K-A, sudden cardiac arrest. Which if you've ever listened to Sublime, you understand. Oh, I like that I kind of got a little bit of a boo on that one. I love my notes. See, the people you've seen up here are real comedians. They stand backstage and like, how am I going to say what I am going to say? I stood in the corner and was like, how am I going to, this is how I'm going to say it. Excellent, I'm ready. Xander just takes notes from me. Xander, who is unbelievable, will sit in the car as we're driving. I took a really big gulp of tequila and there's no ice in there. I'm not as much of an alcoholic as you think. So he just writes down things that I say out of context. So allow me to tell you my set list right now. Rat shit head story. My parents hate you. Gang funeral. Rear entropy. We're gonna go with rear entropy, shall we? Because I have a problem with the United States government right now. Raise your hand if you have friends. No, you don't. They hate you. Because that's how friends work. A good friend is there for you at all times. A great friend is making your good friends step up a little bit. Because my great friends found out that you can just email Google and start naming shit. My house is a 24-hour bar called Rear Entropy. And I thought that was as bad as it gets. I'm getting mail now for Rear Entropy. I live in Chicago. Oh, this is not a good start, but I'm so proud of you. Hold on. Da 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 da. Hold on, that's a lullaby. You guys, they either said yes or they figured out the court order. Give them a round of applause. Well, this is the cutest thing ever. What's your name? I got this one drunk. Oh, and that's why they said yes. Excellent. Alcohol. Guys, one more time for the happy couple. Give a round of applause. the story you are forever going to have about your engagement is, I got down on one knee, and a fat fuck in the background was talking about rear entropy. Is your wedding going to have an open bar? I need 3 invites. They cut me off after a while, and I find out if I'm more than one person, it's cool. Oh, hold on. Wait, do you want my tequila? Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna talk to you, but my tequila is staying way over here. Okay, I don't know if you're talking about your room number or the year you were born, but either way, you're in for a roller coaster, my friend. Congratulations, guys, seriously. You know, it's weird. This isn't on my list, but I might as well tell it. Certain people like to do certain things for important moments of their life. Have you ever had those moments in your life where you just want it to be perfect? You guys know what I'm talking about? Has it ever fucking worked like that? No. Allow me to tell you the story of my good friend John here, John's engagement. John took 2 different paychecks to get a reservation in Chicago at a tall restaurant overlooking the city. A tall restaurant that apparently puts its air conditioning to 60 degrees. He walked in with his soon-to-be fiancée. They sat down at the table, and the first thing she asked him was, "I'm cold. May I have your coat?" And without thinking, went, "No, the ring's in there." She said, "What?" And this gentleman, one of the most amazing people I've ever met, went, "Shit, here," and tossed her a wedding ring. Across the table, it bounced off her hands and into her water glass. So far, great start. She reaches into the water glass, pulls out the ring, and with tearful eyes, she says those 2 words that every man who just proposed wants to hear. It's not "I do." She said, in total clarity, "Thank you." His response, "Does that mean I do?" Her response, "Oh yes." He goes, "Good, then I'll pay for dinner." I have lost my cell phone. Everything is wrong. What the hell did I write there? Xander, what the hell does my sexy caveman fucking mean? I'm fairly certain I don't actually say half of this shit. Some of them is just a challenge to me to come up with. Oh my God. I love you, babe. I will say this. I was talking about smarting my house. It's not just an Alexa that I did. Who out here owns a Roomba? Oh. Roombas are the most destructive force on the face of the planet. We have a bad Roomba. I don't mean the programming is bad. I don't mean the suction is bad, giggity. I mean that this is an evil Roomba. My Roomba turns on at 2 o'clock every single day. Now I work nights, so sometimes I'm home. Allow me to set the scene for you. I have been drinking heavily. It is time to use the restroom. No one is home. The house is quiet. Well, I don't need to close the door anymore. I'm a man. And as long as Xander can't see my shame, I'm an open man. I went to the restroom, and at 2 o'clock precisely, I hear... Something has died. That's okay, I'll clean that up later. There was a large crash, followed by several smaller crashes. Thanks, Roomba. As I'm sitting in the restroom, I look out the door, and down the hallway, I see a little circular Roomba with googly eyes on top. Because, you son of a bitch, not everything in my house needs googly eyes. 2 lamps, the Roomba, the garbage can, my car. I'm terrified enough as it is. I always feel like somebody's watching me, and they are googly. I'm in the bathroom, and going roving past the door is my cleaning implement, dragging a computer mouse, a laptop, and a lamp. And it doesn't have a care. It gets into the kitchen, and I hear Xander's cat, Mia, running past the door. And the vacuum following right behind her. That's not how Roombas work! So now we're playing a deadly game of cat and mouse with the technology in the house. I finish the restroom, I go into my living room, definitely a murder scene. What had happened was, the Roomba had a little bit of an error. See, a Roomba, well, in my case, a knockoff Roomba, because once again, Jew. It's not a sensor that when it touches something it goes. It is a pressure sensor. When the front of the Roomba touches something, this sensitive sensor pinches slightly, and it knows that it needs to turn around. I am fairly certain Xander's cat has decided that the house needs to go. Because jammed into the sensor was the tail of a toy rat. This Roomba was just doing this. My entire living room, if it was not bolted down, it was moved. And the son of a bitch made it more feng shui than I did. I have left it where it is forever, and Xander is blind. He is Heller Kellering the shit out of my living room. This is his punishment. And I blamed this cat. I did, because it's Mia, and Mia needs to be blamed. I was wrong. Because it wasn't the cat. I am now certain that wasn't the tequila. If you are expecting tequila and you get anything but tequila, your first thought is, I have been poisoned. I am now fairly certain that it was not the cat that tampered with my knockoff Roomba. Because I didn't stop it. I want a clean floor. I let it go. And that's when I found out the rat cage is on wheels. I went onto my computer to play City Skylines for a little bit, and I look out here, and the rat cage is just moving around on its own accord. Both rats at the front of the cage like captains. The seas are fair today. We attacked the cat at first light. I love my Roomba. The worst part is I'll never get rid of it because it saves me from sweeping the floors once a month, and that is how lazy I am. It can trash my house, but if it picks up the cat shit, I'm fine. What the hell did you write on my phone? This is just a challenge between the two of us. Okay, I'm gonna just make shit up for this one. My boyfriend packs like a terrorist. It's actually fairly true because there's something that keeps happening to us. See, I don't like telling this story because my good friend Uncle Kage talks about flying all the time because he flies all the time. But that's why I'm telling you that, because of odds. What are the odds that you could get on a plane and have your luggage searched every goddamn time? And there's always a note. Who has been searched by the TSA with a check bag? They leave you a note, right? You had 2 of them? You are also a terrorist. Congratulations. This has happened every single time, and I finally found out why. See, when it comes time to pack, I pack, and Xander packs. I take the shirt, I fold it, I put it into the suitcase. Xander, I'm fairly certain, knows a t-shirt cannon at point blank. Bam! Underwear. Bam! Socks. Bam! Contraceptives. Bam, 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 bam. Same thing. So, apparently, and it happens, a bunch of sex toys went in the suitcase, and I saw how it was packed. You broke physics. Physics decided to sit down and shut up. Because the amount of stuff in this suitcase, there is no way that this did not become the Jack-in-the-Box of dildos. They open, bang, and some of it is suction cup, so they definitely stuck to the ceiling. And they wrote us a note, and this is true. We got a note, the general, totally normal, this is the TSA we've searched. At the very bottom in pencil was, hee hee hee. Xander, you're not allowed to pack anymore. All right, I'm going to do one off of Kage's thing. I couldn't. We could talk about that. Let's just have a moment. Let's just have a moment with me and my two friends. Because we have had a moment. Boozy. Me and Kage shared a moment that hopefully no one else has to. For we have both visited the Boozy Barrister's dwelling. We have both slept in the Boozy Barrister's living room. Fucked. Or, if we're still talking about your bishop, very holy. Well, the night had begun. All the baguettes, Boozy, QM, they have gone to sleep. There are still two people in that house awake. That would be his three-legged dog, who, by the way, I insulted the moment I walked into that house. And said, oh, why is your dog limping? The dog turned and looked at me like this. And that's when I saw it was missing a leg. Oh, I'm sorry. I will never stop petting you. Accepted. That night, I went to sleep on an air mattress and found out that when you are as large as I am, you make a perfect dog bed. Xander loves wrestling, the Professional Wrestling Federation. For the entire night, I was doing 3 counts. That dog beat me 437 times. But that's not the animal I want to talk to you about. We need to have a talk about your lawnmower, aka the cat. Mia does not make human sounds. His cat doesn't even make machine sounds. We don't know what is going on there. But this cat has decided that it only likes to cuddle with your forehead. So I have a dog that has pinned me. I have a cat on my forehead. I slowly open my eyes and there's a cat face right here and it goes, and in the morning, Boozy comes downstairs. I am asleep. There's a dog half laying on me. There's a cat that I am apparently wearing as a hat. And he goes, so, did you have a good night? And he goes, I told him, your cat sneezed on me. He goes, same as Kage. I had to text my friend. I'm like, Uncle Kage, could you tell me your most memorable experience? I didn't even finish the text. And if you know how texts work, that's impossible. He said, the cat sneezed on me too. So this is your intervention. Get the son of a bitch some allergy medicine and get the dog a better bed. I love your animals, but they love me a little bit too much. Because that's the beauty about visiting someone. When your friend has an animal, you only have to deal with it for a little. Oh, you are so cute. You are so cute. Your problem now. Enjoy petting your dog non-stop for the next 2 months, because I spoiled him for you. But you have to spoil 3-legged dogs. It's always important to spoil 3-legged dogs, because you know what? Sometimes you need a tripod. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Alkali! Can I get the other members of the 3-headed monster up here? Hold on, this might take a little bit. Do not run! Do not run! Do not run, that is too fast. Too fast. Oh dear God. If I kill him. Oh dear. No. Slower, faster. Slower, faster. Guys, as he's getting up here, I want to send out a huge thank you to the entire board, the staff, everyone here at Anthrocon. They are the people that gave us this stage time, especially to Uncle Kage. He is the person that let us come up here for the first time. We hope that you're enjoying this. Chris the Comedy Bunny, come on out. Ladies and gentlemen, we are the 300 Monster, Chris the Comedy Bunny, MC, Xander the Blue, Boozy Badger. My name is Al Bly. Thank you very much. We hope you enjoyed and good night. Guys, don't forget your charity this weekend. We love you all. See you soon. You. Thank you, AV.
Silver Gattoman, he bought me a coffee. Silver Gattoman, here is the song for thee. He likes to video all the panels at the cons. You should go and watch them whether they are short or long. Silver Gattoman, you video that's not a jibe. All of you go to his YouTube channel and like and subscribe.